Raise him up here, let's just.
Before we continue singing this morning, this month is we're doing an emphasis on stewardship. And so every Sunday we're going to have somebody here in the church come and give a testimony of their stewardship journey. And so we've asked Brittany Pruitt to come this morning and share with us her stewardship testimony.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
So, of course, I just took a drink of water and it demo. This is not my favorite place to be, standing up here in front of all of you. But God has gifted me as a writer, so I decided to write my testimony for you guys. And I don't like being the center of attention, but I hope you guys can listen and let God be the center of attention as I read what He's done in my life this year. When I was in school, if I had a speech or presentation to give, I would miss school that day. And if I had a teacher like Miss Jessica, who always made sure her students have an opportunity for makeup day, I would miss that day too. Seriously, it is hard for me to be up here. But God gave me a giving testimony, and I feel like I have to share it. When I was a kid, it was not uncommon at all for me to come home from school and find a notice on the door stating our electricity or water had been cut off due to non-payment. My husband is a wonderful provider, and thankfully that is not something I or my kids have ever really had to be concerned with. But that is still a fear that I carry with me, and it's stuck with me through the years. Spending money is not something I enjoy doing. I don't even use an ATM if it charges a small fee. I have never in my life paid electrical late. When we do lose power for whatever reason, a small piece of that anxiety is always in my heart. So when I felt God telling me that tithing was something He needed me to do, it was hard to be immediately obedient. But I made a promise to God that I would start tithing in January of this year, and that I would do so no matter what. The first time, it felt so good to know I was taking another step in obedience towards God. But after that, anxiety overwhelmed me for months when I wrote my tithing check. It was hard and scary and stressful. I would rewrite my budget every time to make sure I had enough to tithe. I would tell God that I didn't. I would worry. And ultimately, because I made a promise to God, I would write a check and drop it in the offering plate. In April, I needed to make a purchase, and to me it was a big purchase. Anything over $20 is big to me. I filled my Amazon cart with items I felt my teen kid class would want to have in our first teen kid store, and my balance was $100. Immediately my anxiety kicked in, and my heart started to pound. I think I stared at that purchase button for an hour and said to myself, maybe I shouldn't tithe this week, because I don't really have the money to do both, but I have to have these items. And then I prayed, and I worried, and I entered numbers frantically into a calculator, and rationalized and prayed some more. Finally, after talking to God for a while more, I said out loud, God, this purchase is for your glory. I'm getting complete purchase, and I'm tithing this week, and I don't know what that's going to look like. But I promised you, and now I'm trusting you. And I hit complete. The next day, the very next day was payday, and my check was higher than it should have been. I checked my pay stub and realized my boss had given me an unexpected raise. God already knew this while I sat at my desk the night before, praying and calculating. He had already taken care of things before I even came to Him frantic in prayer. He knew, and He had already provided. The following week, I called my insurance company, which I do at least once a year, and walked through the steps for an updated quote, hoping to save a little bit on my car insurance. I was talking with the lady and hoping this would be a quick conversation, but she wanted to go through and verify all of my information. Honestly, I was feeling a little impatient. Nothing had changed. Yes, this is still my number. That's still my address. And then she asked if I was married, and I said yes. She asked for how long, and I told her. She said, oh my goodness, we have you down as single, and we have got to get this fixed. This is going to take a while when I put you on hold because I need to go back and adjust everything for the last 4 years. She put me on hold, and I was so nervous. What was this going to mean? Was my rate actually going to go up? When she came back, she said they had been overcharging me for the last 4 years, and I was going to be getting a refund of $250. By the end of the conversation, after everything had been corrected, I was receiving a $250 refund, and I would not have another insurance payment until October, 6 months later. I hung up the phone and cried like a baby while thanking God for his faithfulness. My prayer to God a week ago was, "This is for your glory, God. I'm purchasing, I'm tithing, and I'm trusting." And God came through in ways I couldn't even imagine. That's the last time I worried about tithing. I set up auto payments on the church website. I even paid that small little fee to help with the processing. And I don't question tithing any more than I question paying the light bill. The money is not mine, but a gift from God. January through March, tithing was a big struggle for me. In April, I feel like I really understood for the first time that tithing wasn't about the money at all. It was about trusting God. Last week, Kathleen read Malachi 3:10. "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this." I thought that was so interesting. God is actually asking us, challenging us to trust him. This week, when I looked that verse up again, it was the second half of the verse that really caught my attention. "And see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." When I think about the last 7 months, since April, when I really began tithing cheerfully, without fear or worry, I can see that is exactly what God has done. I have told others God is blessing me so much that my blessings are spilling out and overflowing onto my family and friends. My husband was promoted to a position that allowed us to purchase a second vehicle for the first time in 10 years. Floodgates are opening. Because I don't need to rush home so my husband can have the truck, or rush to church after getting the truck myself, I'm able to help others get to and from church too. Blessings are pouring out. After years of going back and forth about selling our house, we decided to refinance, and the appraisal came back $100,000 higher than we purchased our home for 7 years ago. By the end of this year, my first year tithing, we will have my student loans paid off, my truck paid off, all of our credit cards paid, and our barn paid off. After paying all of these debts through our refinance, my mortgage payment will be increasing by only $130. God has opened the floodgates and poured out so much blessing that I don't have room for it all. I know that financial troubles and trials may still come, but I know God has me no matter what, even if the lights go out. Even if my trust is in God alone, and that is the biggest blessing of all. This is my testimony. This is how God blessed me when I listened to the command to tithe. I don't know what God has in store for you, but I do know God knows, and that it will be so much blessing that you won't have room enough to store it. The Bible says so. Amen.